Hey guys, welcome back to more r/MaliciousCompliance Reddit stories. In today's Ripe Stories video, $2 million. That is exactly how much my new boss's ego cost the company in a single afternoon. This boss thought he could micromanage me out of the picture, so I maliciously complied with his ridiculous demands, and here is how everything blew up in his face. Let's dive right into the video. And the first one is the Malicious Compliance title story, which is titled, "Boss said I was nothing special, so I quit and took his $2 million client with me." So I work in the commercial architecture and retail design industry. It is a highly specialized field. We don't just build stores, we design the entire customer experience for luxury brands. This involves everything from the layout of the display cases to the custom lighting fixtures that make the products look perfect. I was a senior account manager and lead designer, and I loved my job. I worked hard and built a solid reputation. My clients trusted me because I was always honest with them and I always delivered on my promises, and I had a great relationship with our previous director. We worked together as a team, but then the previous director retired and the company decided to bring in an outsider to replace him. Enter new director, let's just call him Idiot. Idiot was hired as the new regional director of operations and client management, and he came from a corporate banking background. He knew absolutely nothing about architecture, interior design, or retail construction, and management thought his corporate background would bring efficiency to our creative firm. They were very wrong though. Idiot was a textbook micromanager who cared more about appearing powerful rather than getting work done, and from day one Idiot treated me like dirt. I was the highest performing account manager in the office, which meant I had a lot of autonomy. Idiot hated that and he wanted to control everything. On his first day, he called a meeting with the entire department. He stood at the front of the room and told us that our previous processes were sloppy. He said he was gonna clean house and hold everyone to a new standard. He looked directly at me when he said it, and the new standard just meant making my life miserable. Idiot started demanding daily status reports, and these reports took an hour to fill out, and he never even read them. If I submitted a report 5 minutes late because I was on a call with a client, he would stand by my desk and loudly berate me in front of the rest of the office. He would say things like, "If you cannot manage a simple form, how can you manage a project?" He constantly belittled my work. I would spend weeks drafting a comprehensive design proposal for a new client. I would select the materials, coordinate with the structural engineers, and calculate the exact budget. I would even place the folder on his desk for final approval, and Idiot would flip through the pages for 10 seconds, drop it in the trash can, and tell me it was garbage. He would tell me start over without giving any specific feedback, and when I asked him what he wanted me to change, he would just say, "Figure it out, that's what we pay you for." I had to redo my work constantly just to satisfy his ego, and it was really exhausting. I started working late into the night just to keep up with his arbitrary demands. My wife noticed a change in my mood. I would come home stressed and angry. We would sit at the kitchen table and I would vent about the Idiot. She told me I needed to look for another job, but I was stubborn. I loved my clients and I didn't want to abandon them. About 6 months into Idiot's reign of terror, I landed the biggest client of my career. A major luxury retail brand was planning a massive expansion. They wanted to open 50 new boutique stores across the country over the next few phases, and it was a massive undertaking. The initial design and consulting contract alone was worth $2 million to our firm. I was the one who pitched the client. I spent weeks preparing the presentation, and I traveled to their headquarters, met with their board of directors, and convinced them that our firm was the right choice for their vision, and they loved my ideas. The client's lead director told me specifically that they were signing with us because they trusted my expertise. When I brought the signed contract back to the office, the CEO was thrilled. He sent out a company-wide email congratulating the team. Idiot was furious. He felt humiliated because he had not been involved in the pitch. He immediately called me into his office and shut the door. "You don't talk to the CEO directly," boss said. "You report to me. From now on, I am the lead on the luxury client account. You will do the actual design work, but I will handle all client communication and strategy." I was shocked. I tried to explain that the client expected to work with me directly, and I told him that retail architecture requires a close working relationship between the designer and the client, but the Idiot refused to listen to me. He just told me to do my job and let him handle the business side. And for the next year, I did all the heavy lifting. I designed the prototypes, I sourced the materials, I managed the construction schedules, and I coordinated with the local contractors in different states. I worked 60-hour weeks. The account was incredibly complex, and I put in a lot of effort, but meanwhile, Idiot took all the credit. He would take my presentation boards, put his name on them, and then present them to the client, but the problem was Idiot didn't understand the material. The client would ask a technical question about load-bearing walls or HVAC integration, and Idiot would just freeze. He would make up an answer that made no sense, and then the client would call me privately to get the real answer. The client's lead director and I developed a secret workaround. Idiot would send them official updates, and then the lead director would call my cell phone so we could actually discuss the project. The client was getting very annoyed with Idiot, but they tolerated him because they liked my work. Everything finally reached a breaking point during my annual performance review. I had just finished the first phase of the luxury client's rollout, and we had successfully opened 10 stores on time and under budget, and the client was thrilled. Our company had made a massive profit. I walked into Idiot's office expecting a substantial raise or something, maybe a large bonus and a promotion to a director-level position. Idiot was sitting behind his desk. He didn't look up when I walked in. He just pointed to the chair. I sat down. "Let us get this over with," Idiot said, and he handed me a piece of official company paper. It was my evaluation form. I looked down at the scores, and he had given me a below expectations rating in almost every single category. Leadership, communication, teamwork all scored at the bottom. The only category with a passing grade was technical skill. I just stared at the paper. Idiot, what is this? I just managed a $2 million account perfectly. The client is ecstatic. We exceeded every financial goal. Idiot leaned back in his chair and said, "You managed nothing. I managed the account. You just drew some pictures. You got a serious attitude problem. You do not respect my authority and you bypass my processes, and you're not a team player. You're practically useless to me." I kept my voice calm. I've worked 60 hours a week for the past year to make sure this project succeeded. The client specifically asked for me to handle the problem solving. Idiot laughed in my face. "You're easily replaceable. Any junior designer can do what you do. You think you're important, but you're not. You're nothing special. You are useless when it comes to actual business management, and because of your poor attitude, you will not be receiving a raise this year, and your bonus is being cut by 70%. I felt a cold wave of clarity wash over me. I realized right then that nothing I did would ever be good enough for him. He was threatened by me, and he was determined to keep me down. I just looked at him, placed the paper on his desk, and said, "I understand perfectly." I walked out of his office, I went back to my desk, sat down and updated my resume. I spent the next 2 weeks quietly reaching out to my contacts in the industry. The commercial architecture world is a tight community. People know who does good work. I called a former colleague who was now a partner at a direct competitor of our firm, and I told him that I was looking for a change. He invited me to their office for an interview, and it was night and day compared to my current job. The partners were respectful, they understood the creative process, and they valued my track record. They knew exactly who I was, and they knew about the luxury client rollout. They offered me a job on the spot, and the title was Director of Retail Design. The salary was 40% higher than what I was making, with a guaranteed performance bonus structure. I signed the offer letter that same afternoon. My contract with my current employer had a standard 2-week notice period, and the next morning I walked into Idiot's office. I handed him an envelope. "What is this?" he asked. "My resignation," I said. "My last day will be in 2 weeks." Idiot opened the envelope and read the letter. His face turned red, and then he forced a laugh. "Good riddance," he said. "I've been wanting to replace you anyway. This saves me the trouble of firing you. Don't think this hurts us at all. We will have someone better in your seat by Monday." Well, I'm happy to spend the next 2 weeks handing over the luxury client account files and bringing my replacement up to speed, I said calmly, but Idiot slammed his hand on the desk and said, "No, you're off the luxury client account immediately. I don't want you talking to them. You will probably try to sabotage the project or badmouth the company." "Idiot, we are in the middle of a critical design revision for their new flagship store. They need constant communication. Someone needs to answer their technical questions." "I'm the expert here," Idiot shouted. "I handle the client. You are useless. I'm giving you a direct order. You are to cease all communication with the luxury client. Don't answer their calls. Don't reply to their emails. You will forward every single mail from them directly to me, and I will handle it. Do you understand?" I paused. A beautiful, malicious idea formed in my head. I just wanted to make sure this was ironclad. Idiot, I want to be perfectly clear, I said. So you're instructing me to ignore the client completely and forward all inquiries to you? Yeah, he yelled. Are you deaf or something? Don't talk to them. Forward everything to me and let the experts handle the business. Could you put that in writing, please, just so there's no confusion with HR regarding my transition duties? Idiot glared at me, but turned to his computer and aggressively typed out an email. A minute later, it popped up in my inbox and the email read, effective immediately, you are removed from the luxury client account, you are strictly forbidden from communicating with the client in any capacity, and you will forward all emails, questions and requests from the client directly to me. I will handle all responses and you are to leave the client handling to the experts. I printed a copy of that email. I folded it up, put it in my wallet and smiled. Understood, I said. I walked out of his office and for the next 2 weeks, I did exactly what the idiot ordered me to do. I sat at my desk and forwarded emails. I didn't do any design work, I didn't fix any problems. I just acted like a silent relay station. The luxury client was in the middle of a very stressful phase. And they were breaking ground on their new flagship location in 3 days. They needed final approval on the structural load calculations for a massive custom glass staircase. On Tuesday morning, the client's lead director emailed me with an urgent request. Hey, we need the final sign-off on the staircase blueprints by noon today. Otherwise, the contractor will walk off the site and we will be delayed by a month. Please review and advise. I read the email and I clicked forward. I typed idiot's email, I hit send, I didn't add any context, I didn't explain the urgency, I just forwarded it exactly as I was instructed. Noon passed, the client emailed me again, urgent, please respond, contractors are getting restless, forward to idiot, send, and by 2 o'clock my desk phone rang. It was the client's lead director, but I let it go to voicemail. He called my cell phone, I ignored it, I was strictly forbidden from communicating with them in any capacity. The lead director then emailed Idiot directly, copying me. Idiot, we need the staircase approval immediately. We cannot reach your designer. What's going on here? Idiot replied to both of us saying, we are reviewing the documents. We will get back to you when we have thoroughly assessed the situation. Please be patient. I could almost hear the lead director screaming from 1,000 miles away. The client replied, there's no time to assess. The blueprints were finished last week. We just need the final signature. If we don't get it today, this delay will cost us $50,000. Idiot replied, I'm the director of this account. I will not be rushed. We will provide the signature tomorrow. The next day, Wednesday, the client's contractors walked off the site. The project was officially delayed, the client was furious, and the lead director emailed me directly again, bypassing Idiot. What's happening over there? Why is Idiot stonewalling us? Please call me immediately. We need your technical input to fix this mess. Forward to Idiot, sent, and Idiot didn't reply to the client. Instead, he walked over to my desk. He looked stressed. He had sweat on his forehead. The client is asking technical questions about the glass stress tolerances. Idiot said quietly, trying not to let the rest of the office hear. What is the answer? I looked at him blankly. I'm sorry, Idiot, but I'm strictly forbidden from working on the luxury client account. I cannot help you. I'm telling you to help me right now, he hissed. You told me to leave the client handling to the experts, I replied. I'm just following your written instructions. Idiot stormed off. He tried to bluff his way through a conference call with the client later that afternoon. I could hear him through his office door. He was throwing out buzzwords that made no sense. He suggested that they use a different type of glass that was completely illegal under the local building codes, and the client hung up on him. On Friday, my second and last day, the bomb went off. The CEO of our company marched into our department. He looked like he was about to have a heart attack. He bypassed Idiot's office completely and walked straight to my desk. What is going on with the luxury client? The CEO demanded loudly. Their executive board just called me. They are threatening to terminate the entire $2 million contract. Idiot ran out of his office. Sir, I have the situation under control. The client is just being difficult. We are managing their expectations. The CEO turned on Idiot. Managing their expectations? They just told me that our firm is incompetent and they said that you delayed their flagship store by over a month because you refused to sign a simple document. They also said you told them to use non-compliant materials that would violate building codes. Is this true? Idiot stammered. No, sir. I meant it was a misunderstanding. My designer here dropped the ball. He refused to do the work. He is leaving the company and he decided to sabotage the project on his way out. He wouldn't answer the client's questions. idiot then pointed right at me. He looked desperate, to be honest. He was trying to throw me under the bus to save his own job, and the CEO looked at me. Is this really true? Did you ignore the client? I stood up, I pulled my wallet out of my pocket, I unfolded the printed copy of Idiot's email, and I handed it to the CEO. Well, I was following direct written orders, I said clearly. The CEO read the email, he actually read it twice, and his face went pale, and then it turned a very dark shade of red. He looked at the email, then he looked at Idiot. You ordered our lead designer to stop communicating with our biggest client? The CEO asked, his voice shaking with anger. And you forbade him from answering their questions during a critical construction phase? Sir, I was just trying to establish proper reporting channels, Idiot pleaded. He was bypassing my authority. You arrogant fool, the CEO said. This account is worth over $2 million. They don't care about your authority. They care about their stores being built correctly. Get into my office right now. The CEO stormed out of the department. Idiot followed him like a whipped dog. I sat back down and quietly started packing up my desk. My coworkers were staring at me in absolute awe. I had just taken down the office tyrant with a single piece of paper. Later that afternoon, the luxury client officially sent a notice of termination. They cancelled the entire contract and they pulled all 50 stores from our firm. They cited a total lack of confidence in our management team and gross negligence regarding the building codes. Our company didn't just lose the $2 million consulting fee, they lost all the future revenue from the construction management phases, which would have amounted to several million more over the next 3 years. It was honestly a devastating financial blow to the firm. I finished my last day on Friday, nobody bothered me, Idiot didn't come out of his office. So then I started my new job at the competitor's firm. They had a beautiful office, a great culture, and I had my own dedicated team. I spent the morning getting my computer set up and meeting the staff, and around noon, my cell phone rang. It was the lead director from the luxury client. Hey, he said, I heard you left the old firm. I did, I replied. I'm sorry about how things went down last week. My hands were tied. I know, the director said. We figured out pretty quickly that Idiot was locking you out. That guy was a complete disaster. We terminated our contract with them on Friday, by the way. I heard, I said. So, the director continued, where are you working now? Because we still have 50 stores to build and we want you to design them. I smiled. I gave him the name of my new company, and by Wednesday the new company had signed the luxury client, and my new bosses were obviously absolutely thrilled about it. I brought in a massive multi-million-dollar client in my first week, and they immediately gave me a signing bonus. The client was happy, my new partners were happy, and I was finally being paid what I was worth and treated with respect. When a boss tells you that you are nothing special, believe them. Believe that they will never value your contributions. Don't argue with them, don't try to prove them wrong. Just nod your head, update your resume, and find a place that recognizes your worth. And if they give you a direct written order to stop doing your job, just make sure you follow it to the letter. You never know how many millions of dollars it might cost them. And yeah guys, the one thing here that kills me about this story is how it perfectly illustrates why companies hemorrhage talent. The CEO was clearly happy with OP's work, the client was happy too, the numbers were there, but nobody in leadership thought to check in on the guy who was actually generating the revenue until it was too late. They just assumed the machine would keep running because it always had. You should always appreciate your employees, and that is what this boss failed to do, and he paid the price for it. Let me know what you think in the comments. And a user on Reddit said the following: let the experts handle the business has to be the most expensive sentence ever typed at that company. 8 words, several $1 million, that is roughly $400,000 per word, which is honestly a better rate than most lawyers charge. Another Reddit comment said, this right here is exactly why promoting outside hires with so-called corporate banking backgrounds into highly specialized creative fields never really works. You cannot spreadsheet your way through retail architecture. Management always thinks they can just plug a suit into a leadership role to increase margins, and it almost always ends up costing them their best talent. Good on you though for knowing your worth and bouncing. And the next one is from r/MaliciousCompliance and is titled, I was taking too many liberties. So I'm a bookkeeper working for a law firm specializing in receivables and trust accounting, keeping track of what money in the trust account belongs to whom and what we can do with it. We also work for a lot of insurance companies on their specialty lines. For example, if a bank makes an insurance claim because it discovered one of its clients was running a Ponzi scheme through their accounts, but then insurance refuses to pay out because bank employees were involved, which is excluded by the policy, and the bank sues over this, we would represent the insurance company. Insurance companies have lots of rules for how you bill them, words you can and cannot use, activities you can and cannot bill, etc. And it's part of my job to know these guidelines and make sure our bills are compliant with them. Unfortunately though, many of these insurance companies use a third-party administrator, TPA, to review their bills and adjust them if not in compliance with the guidelines, and they are often wrong. This leads to appeals which have their own requirements that I also must know. The result of all of this is that in order to get these bills done properly and collect as much as possible on them, it takes a lot of communication with our vendors and lawyers and the claims counsel at the insurer. For most of my time at this firm though, I've simply reached out as needed to anyone I need to clear up billing issues and keep the issues requiring a lawyer's attention to a minimum. Additionally, nearly all of the claims counsel have told me to reach out to them as needed for billing issues. The lawyer's value is in providing advice to our clients, not in billing minutiae that I'm perfectly capable of dealing with, and my job is to support them by dealing with the minutiae. Or so I thought. It turns out a bunch of lawyers were unhappy with me reaching out to claims counsel whenever I needed to, and not making the request to the lawyer to reach out to claims counsel for whatever I needed. Okay, fine, it's not like I don't have other work to keep me busy for the rest of the time. You wanna deal with this crap? You just go ahead. Needless to say, the lawyers were, and still are, completely oblivious to the amount of work my job entails. I guess it's my fault for doing a good job all these years. So far, we have missed several appeal deadlines, resulting in about $25,000 in foregone revenue. There's a method for most insurers for appeals after the fact, but it doesn't really work for, "We didn't email you before the deadline, would you please approve it now anyway?" And the managing partner asked me if we could do an appeal after the fact. He has spent a week working out how to say, "Yeah, it's our fault, but would you please still fix it for us?" There's another $25,000 in appeals due on Monday, which we need claims counsel to approve, so the TPAs will process the appeal, and the lawyer who has to get me the approval is away on Thursday and on Friday. So yeah, there is probably another $50K in appeals on other files which are due by the end of the month. I could fix everything with a couple phone calls, but yeah, I'm not allowed to make them. Claims counsel won't reach out to me unless they need to. I dropped enough hints that they understand what's happening, and they are supporting my malicious compliance, so we are both watching the clock tick down, and I wish I had $125K to toss away because I didn't want to let someone make a phone call. And yeah guys, I gotta say, that is one expensive malicious compliance. Props to OP. And the next one is an amazing petty revenge story which is titled "Karen Lady Honks at Elderly Lady, so I Block Her Path." So I was walking down the sidewalk past this Panera Bread, and this elderly lady was getting out of the passenger seat of a car, and this total Karen honked at her. The stupid part is that she didn't even give her 2 seconds. Like, Karen, I cannot even move that fast. So I stood in front of her car and blocked the Karen's car's path. Obviously, Karen got annoyed and started honking at me now, but I just stood there unbothered. And then she tried to go around me, so I kept moving in front of her car. It was really funny, because there was another car behind her, so she could not reverse either. I left the scene when she got really angry though. And yeah guys, thanks for watching, I will see you again tomorrow.